loved AstraZeneca. They were very nice. They were
very
not cold
great.
at all.
Not at
Listen,
all.
if the ones who were if the ones who were waiting to come into this market would recognize that partnering with patients is essential, I think that it would be amazing, because with the explosion that I feel like is about to happen with this, there's going to be a lot of people. And the thing is they look to us. Like when one of the things that Kat and I went to where they were talking about PAs, there was a gentleman up there talking about the health system. And he was specifically talking about how they want to have something like what Kaiser has for type 2 diabetes, but for obesity. And so he was like, we want to have like the same kind of program because there aren't enough doctors, there aren't enough specialists to be able to take care of people and have this sort of full range of care that they deserve. And I thought that was a great point. And he was talking specifically about partnering with communities. And so I went up and I was like, I'm a community, like I'm an online community, but we're here and we're very big, and partner with us. I was like, because ultimately here's the problem. Like you need to find a way to incorporate the patient trust piece because it's very broken. You prescribe to your patients and they come and ask me how to handle their side effects. And that's not maybe not be because you don't know, but it's because the space doesn't exist. And so there's got to be something to help us kind of like heal and get through that. And he was very receptive. And I was like, would you like to come on the show? And he was like, yes. And so I thought that was really good. And then Kat lost the card.
No, I didn't. It's down. I'm gonna go downstairs and get it.
Okay.
No. It was the debate, but I got it. I got their LinkedIn.
Yeah, the debate was good too. Kat, that's one Kat and I went to as well. The debate was, is there such thing as basically healthy fat, right? Is there such thing as a person with obesity that is healthy, right? And I think what we sort of came from it away from was that they kind of agreed with each other that yes, but it sort of has a time clock, right? Like
and they also said that like there's not they haven't studied it long enough to really make like a firm assertion on that. Oh, yeah. I want to piggyback and come back a little bit to Novo versus, because I was talking pharmaceutical shop Goss, the hot Goss with AstraZeneca. And so yeah, I am not gonna like just become like verbal diarrhea right here. But what I will say is that they said those people over at Novo are just so scared for their jobs right now. So
yeah, true that is some hot Goss.
And that's all I will say. She said some other things, but she's like, if you think about it, yeah, they just canned like 3,000 people the week before Obesity Week.
Yes,
they had just canned 3,000 people. Yeah, so brutal. She was like, "Girl, they're
I don't know about
they're nervous over there."
Obesity Week, but they laid off 9,000.
Was it 9,000
like a month ago?
I knew it was in
like
the
9,000 a month ago. I don't know if they laid off more right before Obesity Week, but it's not good.
Depending on the country, a lot of people, some of them still don't even know if they've been laid off yet, depending on the country.
Isn't that crazy? Yep.
Yeah. Getting close to knowing everyone knowing, but it was still rolling out as of Obesity Week.
Yeah. So that's what she said. Be easy on them.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of great.
I should be laughing.
I feel like there's like Dave and I are both excited about CagriSema. Like it's like, I think, but whatever, how that is. New CEO, clean house, all the things. I don't know. I've been there. I played off 12. It sucks. I love that. Well, those are the ones we went to. What about sessions? How about like Mike, what was a session that you went to that you found really beneficial that you think our listeners would want to hear about?
Gosh, not in the science space, but the obesity stigma session really stuck out to me. It brought in some people from the OAC and people from Obesity Canada and the World Obesity, I think it's the World Obesity Federation, talking about it. It was really useful. You had to do an internalized obesity stigma sheet when you started and how prepared you were to go after it later. And, Zach and I were both in that session and we did it. And it was a good session, but we didn't know how good it was until we went to dinner later that night. And we were in an interesting situation where our waitress kept really pushing for like, what conference are you at? And eventually we just said like a medical conference.
Yeah.
Then she kept pushing more and she's like, I was at this conference. And we're like, no. And then Zach just looked at me. We looked at each other and Zach looked up at her and said, it's Obesity Week. And she's like, obesity. And we pushed a little bit further, like a weight loss conference. And we're like, no, you like Ozempic, Mounjaro, that kind of thing. And she then said, what was it, Zach? That's a lifestyle issue, isn't it? Now, this is a woman who's not in a smaller body, right? Um, and we literally looked at her and said, obesity is a disease. And 10, 15-minute conversation ensued before our order ever got put in.
Yeah.
You want to tell the rest of the story, Zach? I feel like I'm stealing your thunder.
Oh, no, not at
I
all.
want to, yeah, it's story time for both of you guys.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, yeah, it was a very talkative conversation. And you could, one thing that Mike and I noticed in particular was you could actually see the thought process evolving in real time with someone of like, they were taking on new information that total strangers were giving them and then trying to process that. And it was kind of funny. Because obviously she had other tables she had to take care of that evening, but she kept coming back to ours, and each time was another 5 to 10 minute interlude of this conversation. But she also was like, when I was back in the kitchen, I started talking to my manager about this, and then her manager like rose objections about like the GLP-1 meds or something.
Yeah.
And said, oh, isn't that bad for people? Or then it became, that's not for our, ethnicity or things like that. And it was just like, it was different objections started coming out of the kitchen that kept getting like brought up and brought back over the table to Mike and I, or these aren't for curvy women because we love our curves. We want to keep them. Can I choose? She literally asked us, can I choose where I lose the weight from? And Mike and I were like, boy, did we wish we could.
Right.
That was pretty much like our response to them. But it was a really good conversation. And she asked us right at the end that like, if I wanted to do something about this, what do I do? Like, what is my first step? And we literally just said, listen, go talk to your doctor about this, and they are the best person to direct your care. And then Mike and I both said, if you don't feel that person is the right person to have a care with, try to find someone who's an obesity medicine specialist if you can. We both left there pretty like positively happy with like the interaction. Like it was just like completely unexpected, but like really felt like we were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I'd gone to the right session in that day. Like it wasn't the part of the session that had knocked my socks off, right? There was an amazing part after this where they went through obesity stigma in AI, and it was really interactive, and I can talk to that in a minute. It was one of these things where you didn't realize how much a session had impacted you until you actually lived in the moment. I don't know if Dr. Pashby's here, but Dr. Pashby is one of the people on the panel, and it was awesome. It turned out it was super impactful.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that conversation influenced, it wasn't just that one woman, because it was every wait staff member. They were all engaging in these conversations around us, the whole restaurant at the Hard Rock Cafe in Atlanta. We just wandered in looking for like anything because we were starving.
That is so
cool. That makes me think about what Kim always says about how like the general public and media and marketing does gravitate towards those extremes where somebody was very heavy and then became very, 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 very almost like, very, very, very slim. And that doesn't happen to everybody. And so there was that popular misconception, when the server said, am I going to lose my curves? Well, because always see if you take yourself out of this vacuum that we are in and we go outside of it, you notice how much more notoriety, for lack of a better definition, that the ones who lose significant amounts and become extremely slim, those are the ones that seem to kind of get more popular, more pushed.
Well, I think that if we're thinking sort of about the core psychology of our, because as a marketer, I can totally speak to the psychology of it, whatever. No, but I think in general, like when you're thinking about thinness, right?
Yeah.
And when you're on an algorithm and it tends to go towards the extremes, or it tends to go to the norm, or to like, so for example, you may see a lot of people that are Caucasian versus people that are in the minorities. You may see a lot of people in big bodies or very, very big bodies, right? But you don't see a lot of people in the middle. And the truth is that most people, according to the data, they're in the middle. you know? And I think that it is a very common misconception that this is a skinny shot from people that aren't hanging out with us in our, vacuum, right? Of TikTok, where we're all just like in this just perpetual conversation where we think we've,
Right.
people know, and they just don't know. And I think that it's important to recognize the way that technology works, and it works like that because technology has bias because of we do, right?